there are 8 million people every day wasting 2 hours a day on Facebook. There are 45,000 people for at least an hour a day on Twitter. And there are at least 40 million people scrolling through Instagram looking for cute pictures at least 2 hours a day. Are you a victim of the Bermuda Triangle of productivity? I am Paula Oleska, a best-selling author, coach, and a brain surgeon, but without cutting into your skull. Business people hire me to unleash their inner productivity because most are drowning in to-dos and unfinished projects, ineffective prioritization, and most are profoundly aware that busy doesn't mean productive. So I help them organize, prioritize, finish projects on time so that they can get things done with ease and feel accomplished. I came to the US without a penny and eventually built my business to high 6 figures with no previous business experience and no contacts. I created my proprietary modality, Brain Upgrade, based on cutting-edge neuroscience, which I used to help over 5,000 individuals skyrocket their businesses and their personal results. I have been speaking and teaching all over the world for over 25 years. And I'm also a circus performer and an opera and concert singer. So as you see, I have very many interests, and I had them in the beginning as well. So I wasn't always focused or productive because I was trying to follow all of my interests, and I was very scattered. And I didn't have a sense of how long things will take or how much work they will be involved. And as a result, I felt I was always behind, so I crammed as many things as possible into my schedule, and it was unrealistic, so I was often late. And you may have felt the same, overscheduled, overworked, behind, and late. I tried everything that promised a solution to my problem: positive thinking, affirmations, visualization, meditation, and so on, and I practiced them diligently. Have you done that too? Has it worked for you? I guess not really, because you're here with me looking for new solutions. So eventually, I discovered shortcuts to managing time, being productive, and achieving results in general. These shortcuts had to do with a new way of optimizing the brain. There are some people out there who are talking about the brain, teaching about mindset and productivity, and then there is me, and I have a unique method of working with the brain. So instead of just giving you information about how it works, you're going to get very simple but extremely powerful tools to actually work with your brain and get immediate results. But I still see that many people have the same struggles with time that I used to have. And they try to solve them with the same methods that didn't work for me. That often leads to more struggle. And even worse, those people feel guilty because they are still behind, still overwhelmed, and still overworked. Has that happened to you? Today, I am going to show you some proven, simple, but highly effective strategies to end your struggles with time so that you can immediately take action on the things and get things done and be as productive as you desire. You will learn steps that will help you permanently eliminate procrastination and overwhelm with too much to do. We are going to explore why the previous approaches didn't work, and I will give you new tools so that you can always prioritize and take timely action. I am going to give you everything I possibly can in the time we have today. You are going to walk away with a new understanding and new tools that will assure that you will take charge of your schedule, eliminate distractions, and get things done with ease. And if you stay to the end, I will have some gifts for you. I am also going to introduce you to some new additional resources and how I might support you from here on. Fair enough? So we have established that both you and I have been using tools promoted as the ultimate solutions, but that didn't work as advertised. For example, when I was struggling with my schedule, I heard many times that the solution I needed was to prioritize, but I just couldn't do it because everything still felt urgent and that it needed to be done right away. In other words, I knew what I should do, but I just couldn't do it. Has that happened to you? Of course, we all want to be able to do what we should do. What would your life look like if you could do that? So take a moment to imagine the ease, the freedom, and the money that you'll be making if you could do all the things that you know you should do. So now it's time to share with you the shortcuts I have discovered. For example, I'll tell you about a recent client. This professional woman has been putting off preparing for her upcoming work project because she thought it was boring. In her session, we did a few brain optimizing activities, and she immediately discovered she had overloaded her schedule with social commitments, and that's why she didn't feel like working. Moreover, she also realized that her hidden agenda for those social contacts was to gain more popularity and to be more accepted. After a few more brain optimizing activities, she realized she didn't really need those contacts or their acceptance. She saw that preparing for her project was not as complicated as she had thought, and she quickly scheduled all of the activities she needed. She said that felt fabulous and not boring at all. And all of that happened within 1 hour and without any prompting on my part, just with a few selected, targeted brain optimizing activities. How was that possible? Let me let you in on a secret. You haven't noticed it, but you have been exposed to what I call the common learning paradigm. To describe it, I use a visual. So here's this person in the picture, looking quite male, focusing very hard. That's why he's frowning, because he's working very hard to focus, to memorize, and to absorb everything that he's learning. The common learning paradigm is what you will encounter in any learning situation. If you went to school or to college, attended any lecture, webinar, or a course or a program, anything at all, that's when you will have been exposed to the common learning paradigm. In the common learning paradigm, you are your mind. So here's the same person frowning and focusing because all of the information is coming into his mind, and his mind is working very hard to absorb all that information and do something with it. The common learning paradigm doesn't understand that the part of your brain that takes in information is not the same part that implements the information. Let me say that again. The part of your brain that takes in information is not the same part that implements the information or takes action. And that's why everybody focuses on giving you information. And you can spend a ton of money on training to learn how to be productive, and you will never do anything with that information. And the good news is it's not your fault. The common learning paradigm assumes that in order to learn, because you are your mind, then all you need to do is listen. And if you have a more advanced instructor, maybe they will ask you to take notes or get up and move from time to time. But that still doesn't engage the part of your brain that can take action on what you are learning. In this common learning paradigm, you are your mind, The assumption is that your mind will just absorb this new information and will move right into applying it. In this common learning paradigm, your body and emotions don't have anything to do with learning. So as a result, if you find yourself not being able to apply what you learn, it must be your fault because you're a procrastinator, or you don't have enough motivation, or you're not working hard enough. So, and many other blaming statements that you may have heard, right? Have you heard this before? And some other things like that. So what actually happens to people when they keep hearing those blame statements? Some will beat themselves up. What's wrong with me? All these other people can do it. Do you know people like that? Other people become frantic and they rush from place to place and say, oh my God, I still haven't done it. I should do it right now, but I'm so stressed, I can't think straight. Do you know people like that? And there's another type of people who just become lethargic and they say like, oh, well, I haven't done it. Who cares? I'll just have another beer. Do you know people like that? All of these judgments and blame just increase stress and make people even less able to act. They undermine people's confidence. Many people become ashamed and embarrassed. They blame themselves and worry whether they will ever be able to succeed. And that's exactly what a woman said who called me at some point recently to find out if I could help her. Because this woman, who was an attorney and has a high-level position with a reputable company, was feeling like a failure despite her education, position, and experience. She saw herself as a procrastinator. She had ideas for projects but didn't act on them. Her work was piling up. She couldn't follow up and follow through on things. And she suspected she lacked ambition and was not like those other successful women who lean in and take action. So she was losing confidence and felt that there was something wrong with her. How many professions like that are out there? Like this woman, many people have so much to offer, and yet they get deeply discouraged and close to giving up. Have you ever felt like that? I consider people like that to be the victims of the common learning paradigm. Isn't there a better way? Yes, there is. So, introducing the new learning paradigm. So the fellow in this picture, as you can see, the information is coming through all parts of his body and mind. And this fellow is smiling because he doesn't have worked so hard to absorb the information. Listen carefully. This is so new that I want you to pay extra attention. The new cutting-edge research says intelligence is in the body. Your mind is an outcome of what happens in the body. So it's just completely the opposite of what you have been told about how you're supposed to work, because you're supposed to master your mind. So let me repeat that, and you can say that together with me. Intelligence is in the body. Your mind is an outcome of what happens in the body, in your body. I have been working with these principles for over 25 years, and now this view is expressed by a new science called embodied cognition. Embodied means that is in your body, and cognition essentially means your intellectual functions, thinking, and things like that. So your thinking is in your body. And here is what embodied cognition says, quoting from my current favorite book by a British neuroscientist, Guy Claxton, called Intelligence in the Flesh. This is what he says. So where is your brain? It is all over your body. And what is your brain? It is currents of information from all corners of your body. In other words, The view of the brain is no longer that is an isolated organ sitting in your head, that it's a communication network exchanging information throughout your body. There are many other quotes in this book, and there are also many other sources to support this view, but we are limited with time, so I want you to fully absorb this quote. So let's look at it again and say it together with me. So where is your brain? It is all over your body. And what is your brain? It is currents of information from all corners of your body. Do you see how this approach completely changes the paradigm? In the new learning paradigm, if you want to use your mind, you need to engage your body. I'm going to say that again and dwell on it for a moment. And if you want, you can say that with me again. In the new learning paradigm, if you want to use your mind, you need to engage your body. So this will make your life a lot easier, just like that little fellow in your previous slide, because when you engage your body, information comes in everywhere and your mind doesn't have to work so hard. In fact, your mind changes because you have changed how your body functions. So when you engage your body, it cannot be in just any way. You need to do very specific activities. But the good news is that you don't have to go to the gym to do that. We are going to do it right here, very shortly. So before we get there, I want to teach you a very important tool that will massively accelerate your productivity. I call it think before doing. Why is that so important? Because it gives you total control over your day, and also a week, a month, a year, and as long as you apply it. So is that really cool to have total control? Don't you think it's going to make you extremely much more productive and organized? So let's look at what happens when people don't separate thinking from doing. How many people do you know who start their day like this? They check their email, they check their Facebook, they check their text messages, they respond to text messages, and all of that sometimes before even getting out of bed. And then before they know it, the morning is gone and they have to rush off to work and they didn't prepare for their projects. And that happens even when people know what they should do. One woman I know told me that she knows she needs to have a good breakfast and do her exercises to have a productive day. But instead of doing that, she often gets distracted by answering phone calls or doing whatever she just happened to remember that she had to do. Then her morning is gone and she has to rush out of the house hungry and off balance for the rest of the day. And that's why you need to separate thinking from doing. And how do you do that? Here's a chart that's going to help you do that. It has two questions. How important is this task for me or my business in the long term? And you give it a number. And then you ask yourself, what will be the consequence to me or my business if this task doesn't get done? So let's work with this chart practically so you can start working on your thinking before doing. What I would like you to do right now is to pick one activity from your long to-do list and write it in the first column. And then ask yourself these two questions. So first question, how important is this task to me or my business in the long term? And give it a number from 1 to 10, put it in the second column. And then you will ask yourself the next question, what will be the consequence to me or my business if this task doesn't get done? So this is not a number. You can think about that and write it down in words. So before you get to do that, I just want to reassure you that this is not a test and there is no right or wrong way of doing it. It's what I call a sample activity, just to give you a little example of what you're going to do later on your own once you learn how to do it. And we will do something with this activity in a moment. So I'll give you 2 minutes to do it. And while you're doing it, I want you to observe how it feels and be honest with yourself. No one is watching. So go, and I'll tell you when to stop. Okay, 2 minutes are up. And I'm sure this is not enough time to solidly work with even one activity, but it doesn't matter. We just want to know how it felt. Perhaps you felt some resistance, or your thinking wasn't as clear as you want it to be. Whatever you felt, it's great. And if you want, you can write your comment in the chat box. Good. So now let's see how applying the principles of the new learning paradigm is going to make a difference in this activity. Do you remember the principle of the new learning paradigm? Do you? Okay. Well, to make it easier, here is on the screen, and let's say it together. If you want to use your mind, you need to engage your body and do very specific activities. So now we are going to do very specific activities. 3 activities I call the implementation wizard. These activities optimize your brain so you can be productive because you'll be able to take action. And I will explain to you later why we do them and how they work. So the first activity is called self-hug. I want you to reach forward with your arms, turn your thumbs down and cross your wrist and interlace your fingers the way you see in the first picture. And then you can also cross your ankles. Then you bend your elbows, turn your hands inside out, rest them on your chest, like you see in the second picture. And you can rest in this position for a short time. Again, because we are pressed for time, I'm only going to give you a minute, but when you do it on your own, you can take as long as you want. It's a position that usually people usually find very relaxing. So go ahead, close your eyes, and additionally, you can gently touch the tip of your tongue behind your teeth on the upper palate, and just relax for a moment. I'll tell you when to stop. All right, now uncross your feet, put them on the floor, uncross your hands and touch your fingertips together, rest them in your lap, and continue to keep your eyes closed and keep the tongue touching the palate behind your teeth for a moment, and I'll tell you when to stop. All right, so if you're like most people, you feel quite a bit more relaxed at this point. And as I said, we are very limited for time, but when you do it on your own, please take your time. Now we're going to do our second activity. This activity is called cat arches sitting down. And the first position is starting to round your back like you see in picture 1. So you tuck your hips under, rocking back in your chair, and slowly rounding your chest over your legs like you see in picture 3. And then you slowly start uncurling, arching your hips and lower back over your legs and arching up until your head is facing the ceiling, as you see in picture 2. So you need to do this exercise very slowly, and let's do it 4 times. So I'm going to give you some time to do it. And as you can see, the range doesn't matter. I don't have much range in this exercise, but it still works. So just go ahead and do it, and I'll tell you when to come back. All right, even if you didn't do it 4 times, we'll stop for now, and we'll go to our third activity. This activity is called cross crawl, and it consists of using opposite arm and leg, front, back, and side. So do 8 movements touching your hands to the opposite knee in the front, and then do 8 movements touching your heel behind your back with the opposite hand. And if you can't reach your heel, then you just move it in that direction. And then you will do 8 movements extending opposite arm and leg to the side. So go ahead and do that on your own. And I'll tell you when we're going to start again. All right, so even if you didn't complete the sequence, that's okay, you can do it later. But even doing a little bit of these activities still makes a difference, as we are going to check in just a moment. So first of all, how do you feel now compared to how you felt before you did these exercises? Most people say that they feel more relaxed and a little bit more focused or clear-headed. So now let's get back to the chart and do another sample activity. So pick another activity from your to-do list, and just like with the first time, write it in the first column. Ask yourself the first question, evaluate it on a scale from 1 to 10. Ask yourself the second question, and describe it in words. And just like before, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and we'll see how that goes now. All right, let's move on. How did it feel this time? Was your thinking a little bit more clear? Was it easier to answer questions? You can write your comments in the chat box. And most people at this point find that it's a little bit easier, or some people find that it's a lot easier to think and answer those questions. So now let's find out how that happened. So the implementation wizard optimizes your brain so that your information-taking brain is now working together with your behavioral or action brain, and this is how we can get things done. So we start with the relaxation, and that's why we do self-hug, because tension is automatically and immediately interferes with the ability to think. So we do self-hug first so that some of the tension will be released. Then we do cat arches sitting down, and that automatically organizes those 2 parts of the brain to work together. There's a lot more theory behind that, but that's all the time I have to explain to you for now. And the last exercise, called cross crawl, is an automatic coordination of your right and left brain hemispheres. So both hemispheres control different functions. Right brain loves to see the big picture, which can be completely overwhelming if you can't break it down into details. But under stress, your left brain shuts down, so that becomes really difficult. And left brain loves details, focus, and sequence, and that's what your schedule is. It's details in sequence. So when your right and left brain work together, it's much easier to organize all your activities into a logical sequence. So that's how cross-crawl works, and that's why it's going to help you take charge of your schedule. And now you'll be able to get things done with much more ease. And that's the power of working in the new learning paradigm, because instead of struggling with your schedule and blaming yourself about not being able to do it, you can now do a few activities and just get things done with much more ease. Of course, I do that all the time. I was able to achieve my success because I use these tools every day, and many tools, of course, as well, that I'd love to share with you when we have more time. So, but I did promise you that you are going to have some tools to permanently eliminate procrastination and overwhelm, and these are the tools. You can now always prioritize and take timely action, because you will just be using your implementation wizard whenever you get stuck. And as you just experienced, it only takes minutes. So coming back to that woman attorney who I told you about earlier, who was so discouraged when she called me, this is what she said after a few sessions of optimizing her brain in the new learning paradigm. Working with Paula was a truly life-changing experience. Through our work together, I have increased my productivity, efficacy, and efficiency by at least 50%. I used to have feelings of doubt, fear, and overwhelmed, so I procrastinated. The more I doubted myself, the more I stressed, and the more I stressed, the more I avoided the work. It was a vicious cycle. Paula's work helped me clear my blocks, and I emerged able to tackle my work with a calm, focused, and peaceful manner. Truly life-changing work. And that happened in just a few of brain optimizing sessions. If you would like to have results like that, I have good news for you. First, since you stayed to the end, here's your gift. Send me an email with the subject line GRC handouts, and I will send you the Think Before Doing chart with instructions so that you can organize your whole schedule. So this is what the instructions are going to look like, but we are not going to go over that right now because it's going to be in writing when you get it. And I will also send you the pictures of the exercises so you can have them handy as you organize your schedule. In addition, on behalf of GRC educators, I have carved out a certain number of time slots for you to take this work a step further with a results accelerator brain optimizing session. This will allow me to get inside your business to see where you are, where you want to go, and how I might be able to support you in that. I'm really good at this. It's truly a life-changing work, as you heard from my client, who specifically used those words. I will take a look and see how we can eliminate the time thieves that are keeping you from achieving the excellence that you desire. We will do some more brain optimizing new learning paradigm activities to skyrocket your productivity. And since I only have a few slots available, it's going to be first come, first served. So email me right now at paula@brainupgrade.biz to claim your spot and receive your handouts, and use GRC in the GRC handouts in your subject line. I thank you for attending, and I look forward to working with you. And I also thank GRC educators for organizing this webinar. And please send me your email right now at paula@brainupgrade.biz.